Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful song by Freddie this morning. And a beautiful vibration just to anchor that into our feelings today. I'm Reverend Mark Gilbert. It's great to be back with you at the Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. And today my talk is entitled Feeling into Love. And it's a part of the theme for all the talks this July at CSL Denver, which is Pulled by Vision. Pulled by Vision. That's also the cover title for this month's Science of Mind magazine, which if you haven't seen it, I'd invite you to pick up a copy of it. It's got a lot of articles that cover this idea of being pulled by vision from lots of different topics, lots of different ways. But what I want to do today is something a little bit different. I want to look at the idea of being pulled by a vision. And what exactly does that mean? And how does it relate to our philosophy in the science of mind? And then offer some thoughts on how love relates to it. So I'm hoping that by the end of this talk and then over the next few minutes, you'll have a greater understanding of how love serves you to support your vision and how your vision and the power of love totally interact together. But first, let's look at the idea of being pulled by vision. What exactly does that mean? Now, as you probably already know, the vision that I'm talking about is the idea that you carry around in your mind about the desired direction for your individual life, your desired direction for the world, and your role in creating that world. Do you have such a vision? Do you carry one around with you? You know, some of you hear that question and you may say, no, I'm too busy living my life one day at a time to worry about a vision for my life or a vision for the world. Or you might say, I haven't stopped to think about it lately. What I'm inviting you to do is to consider it. And I would also suggest that even if you think you don't have a vision, that you're not carrying around a vision, you haven't written it down in some sort of formal way, that you do have a vision for your life. Somewhere within you, you carry an idea about how you'd like to see your life unfold, where you'd like to be in 5 years or 10 years, or the accomplishments that you'd like to see by the end of your time here on Earth. You must likely have some idea of how you'd like the world evolving. You look out at all of the world and the things that are going on there, and you probably have some thoughts about how you'd like to change it, how you'd like to see the world be different. You've got hopes and dreams that you carry about for your highest and best life that you can live. I know I have these thoughts, and I know that most people I talk to do too. But within those thoughts for our personal life in the world is our vision, even if we haven't written it down. You know, it says in Proverbs that where there is no vision, the people perish. And another way of saying that is that people with no vision have no direction. So how does having a vision relate to this philosophy that we teach at Centers for Spiritual Living? How does it relate to the science of mind? Well, briefly, I see the connection in two ways. The first way is probably fairly obvious and relates to the most well-known aspect of the science of mind teaching, and that's that thoughts are things. Hence, what we tend to think about is what we tend to manifest in our lives. You know, most people, when they first come to the science of mind, they're usually challenged by some experience in their material life. They want more prosperity, better relationships, a better job. They want to find a love life, or other things that they know that are part of a good, enjoyable earthly life they feel like they don't have right now. And so much of our basic teaching is about identifying what you're currently thinking and how to replace those old thoughts, which are giving you your current experiences, with new thoughts to bring about the world that you want to experience. That is, we teach seeking to reorient our thinking, to see that vision of what it is we desire and have it be already in our life. It's through this changing your thinking that you'll change your life and manifest your desires in the physical world. You know, if you can master that key part of our teaching, then using the philosophy has been successful for you. And although the idea is simple, I think no one that's ever approached it and tried to use it knows that it's easy. And that for many of us, it can be difficult to practice consistently by replacing old thoughts with new thoughts. Yet, it's the vision of this life that we desire that is the focus of our teaching. It gives us direction as to what it is that we want to manifest. And that's the basic way in which I think vision relates to science of mind. But there is a second way where vision is important in our philosophy. And I believe it's a bit more esoteric and less taught, although I tend to stress it a lot in my talks and teachings. And that's how a vision serves our growth and evolution. Yes, you've heard me say this many times, that we live in two worlds at once, that we have one foot in the physical, material world and one foot in the spiritual world. I love the words of French paleontologist and Jesuit priest and spiritual teacher and someone who was really a pioneer in the area of spiritual evolution, and that is Teilhard de Chardin, who famously stated that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Even though we're ultimately spiritual beings, you know, our time here in the physical world is truly a wonderful gift for us all. We get to experience all the beautiful and wonderful things that are here on Earth. Think of the sunrises and sunsets, the waves beating up on the beach, being out in nature, watching the birds and the animals, power of creating things in our own life, the birth of our children or grandchildren, the sense of connectedness with another human being, experiencing the vast beauty of this planet and all the material things that bring us joy each day. And it's through the experience of this world and the joy that it brings us that the infinite being of spirit also experiences its creation. We tend to forget that. But even though we're living in two worlds at one time, we must also remember that we're evolving and growing and changing, and that our true nature and our natural state is to evolve beyond this material world. I wrote about these topics in my book, Our Spiritual Evolution, where I drew upon the teachings of so many other wise people. In that I wrote that I believe that spirit, God, infinite intelligence, in creating this universe that we are all existing in, embedded itself into all of its creation. Spirit, though, even though it embedded itself in everything, it is through us, and so that through us it could more fully experience this physical world, it caused us to forget our source. And it gave us free will to choose our thoughts, words, and actions. So what does that mean? It means we began our lives blind to the fact that spirit is our source and that we're all one. We were free to live in a sense of separation and choose thoughts and actions based on the needs of our ego. Many of us, when we recognize we're all one, we still sometimes choose ways that are, we can choose ways that are in alignment with our source, that is, with oneness. But it's difficult to do it consistently. And sometimes we choose selfishly, believing that we're separate and apart from one another. And although we're free to live and choose separation and competition and fear and to doubt our abilities and the glorious truth of our divine nature as we move through this material world, we're ultimately evolving towards recognizing that we're all one and embedded with this divine spirit. That's where we're headed. We're all evolving towards transcending this third dimensional experience and towards higher and higher dimensions. Hence, I believe that we're all evolving back to source, to spirit, the divine, to oneness, to whatever name you wish to give it. All of us are walking a spiritual path in our own way back to a return to love and oneness. Okay, so we're all evolving. How does our vision relate to that? Well, it's our vision for a greater life and a greater world that is calling us to move forward. Now, some of you may say, I've got a vision, but it has nothing to do with remembering I came from spirit or oneness. That may be true. But I would say that behind every vision for our lives, it is a desire to be creative, a desire for positive change, a desire to make lives better in some way. And these desires to improve your life and the lives of others has the added benefit of our overall evolution being served. Think about this. When we improve conditions for everyone, we allow ourselves and others to focus on higher and higher needs. Many of us might look back and remember the teachings of Abraham Maslow and his famous hierarchy of needs. And what he basically taught with his pyramid is that as we meet our basic needs, we each move up the pyramid to meet higher and higher needs. If each of us are focused on creating a better world, no matter how we label it, if we can bring everyone to focusing on their higher needs of self-actualization and self-transcendence, then we really truly are serving the evolution of the planet. Yet all of us get off the path of the greater vision from time to time. And when we veer from that greater direction, there's two forces that Spirit has working to move us back on track. These forces are Spirit's way of gently moving us in the right way where we can remember our oneness. The first force is what is often called being pushed by life. By that we mean that our life experiences are so challenging that they force us into looking at where we're going and what we're doing with our life. They force us to grow and learn and make better choices. If we don't learn the lesson, life keeps giving us that damn lesson over and over until we learn it. You know, these lessons can show up in different ways. It can be job losses, financial crises in our life, relationships ending, deaths, and so many other life events. Each one of them asking at their core us to reconsider our life's direction, each one of them offering us a lesson to grow and evolve and get back on our path. So that's being pushed by life. But the second force that works to get us back on track is being pulled by the vision. This is where external events, or more often internal feelings, turn up in our experience and show us a higher and greater path for our lives. These experiences or feelings invite us to shift our focus, reorganize our priorities, and take stock of our actions so that our lives can move towards that vision. There's a number of feelings that can serve as these evolutionary course correctors for us. For example, one is our desire to be creative, and another one is the power and the feeling of love. You know, our founder, Ernest Holmes, referred to these evolutionary course correctors as our quote-unquote divine urge. Divine urge. He wrote, "There is an irresistible, universal, and divine urge within us to be happy, to be whole, and to express the fullness of life. The latent divinity within us stirs our imagination. Because of its insistent demand, impels and compels our growth. It is back of every invention. It proclaims itself through every creative endeavor. It has produced sages, saints, and saviors, and will, when permitted, create a new world in which war, poverty, sickness, and famine will have disappeared." Holmes also said, "The insistent and universal desire for self-expression is the divine urge within us. Even God himself, tapping at the walls of our heart, urging us on to a fuller life." Do you feel that urge to create and to grow and to evolve? You know, I know that I do. And this urge comes to me in a desire to think about the vision for my life. Have you thought about your vision for your life lately? If not, I urge you to do so. You know, when I've thought about my vision and sort of put it down in words, it's very much in alignment with the vision for our spiritual organization, Centers for Spiritual Living. Probably not surprising to you. CSL's vision is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence and to create a world that works for everyone. You've probably heard those words. In fact, I think we heard them in the song from Freddie a few minutes ago. We mention it frequently, and it was also the subject of some theme a month or two ago in the recent talks. For myself, however, briefly stated, my vision for myself is to be a loving and beneficial presence in all interactions, to continue to grow and evolve in my spiritual wisdom, to enjoy this life experience to the fullest, and to be a change agent in my areas of influence so as to assist others in awakening their spiritual truth and then assist in creating a world that works for all. Now, you know, you might think that sounds pretty good, pretty cool, but I'm on the mark in living that vision. Truth is, if I'm honest with myself, is that sometimes I am, and sometimes not so much. Like many of us, I can get off track as I fill my mind and my life with doubts and fears and judgments of others and distractions and sometimes just plain laziness and procrastination and the like. Can you relate? Why is this? Why are we drawn off course? Well, in the most general of terms, the reason that often relates to our learning limitations and instilling our minds with feelings of inadequacy when we were children. We came to this planet wanting to be loved and have our needs met. Instead, we experienced things that were very different. And these other experiences filled our heads with the ideas that our lives are limited in some way and that we're at some level unlovable. We ask ourselves, who are we to live these big visions? Even though we feel them, we have doubts. What I'm suggesting to you here is the power of love can assist you in staying on target with your vision. We all have an idea of what love is. We've all felt love, fallen in love, sang songs about love, said we love someone or something. We all love the feeling of love. At many times, we've consciously sought love. However, the truth is that we all have love within us and that we can always give and be love. Why is that? It's because love, and remember this, love is our natural state of being. It's who we really are at our core. Spiritual teacher Marianne Williamson wrote that love is the essential reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life. Meaning doesn't lie in things, meaning lies in us. And Ernest Holmes wrote, love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. It's the very reason for our being, and that explains why it is that people should have something or someone to love. The life that's not loved, he wrote, has not lived. It is still dead. Think about this. We teach in Science of Mind that God is in all as all, that the power and presence of God is in us. Yet we also teach, as most spiritual paths do, that God is love. So if God is love and God is all as all, doesn't that mean that we're embedded and infused with that divine love? If at our essence we are love, then it's only natural that the feeling of love is something that's so well known by us and why we love that feeling so much. Another reason I believe that love is our natural state is because love is more than just an emotional feeling. I believe that love is also an evolutionary force whose purpose is to connect us with one another in this physical world. Love pulls us out of our sense of ego. It causes us to let go of separation and to feel care and concern for things that appear separate from us. When we love our children, our spouse, our pets, our friends, things out there in the world, that feeling pulls us out of a sense of being an individual and into a sense of connectedness. Can you feel that? Can you truly feel that? In so doing, love calls us to transcend the physical. Love pulls us higher on our path in our return to oneness. In the words of artist Alex Gray, love, consciousness, and creativity are the highest refinements of the cosmic evolutionary force. Spiritual teacher Gurdjieff put it this way: real love is a cosmic force which goes through us. If we crystallize it, it becomes the greatest power in the world. And back to Teilhard de Chardin, who wrote, driven by the forces of love, the fragments of the world seek each other so that they may come into being. So if love's our natural state as a spiritual being, and love is also an evolutionary force, bringing us back through our evolution to realize oneness, how can we cultivate more love in our lives? How can we allow love to pull us along to our highest vision? Well, I've got a lot of thoughts on that, but instead of covering them all today, I'm going to give you some homework. I wrote a blog on my website, Conscious Bridge. So if you go to consciousbridge.com, you'll see a blog article entitled Feeling, Ways to Feel into Feeling, Ways to Feel into Love. The link may be on the screen, but just go to consciousbridge.com and look for a recent posting. I'd invite you to go read it. There you're going to find 12 different suggestions of ways that you can bring more love into your life. I really invite you to do that as homework. However, we're going to take a real one and do it really quickly. We're going to do it together. So what I'd like you to do in this moment is to close your eyes. And I want to shoot a picture in your mind's eye, someone you feel love for. It could be alive, or it can be no longer in the physical. It could be a child, a grandchild. a pet, a spouse, a friend, someone that you feel love for? Has that person popped into your awareness? If so, what I want you to do in this moment in your mind's eye is to picture sending love to them and thanking them for being in your life and allowing you to feel this love. That practice and more, and what you can open your eyes now, that practice and more practices, if you can do something every day to bring more love into your life, then what you'll be doing is actually not only serving yourself, but serving your growth and your evolution and serving the planet. As I end today, I know I've covered a lot of stuff with you this morning. I feel the desire to review this. I'll be posting a blog on my website, Conscious Bridge, in the next day or two with the text of this talk so you can go back over it. I invite you to check it out. But here is a quick summary of the 6 key points I covered this morning. We all have a vision for our lives. It's beneficial to think about it and write it down. Our vision serves to give direction to our lives so we can consciously change our thoughts to move in that direction towards our highest and best idea of ourselves. Our vision also serves to evolve us towards remembering our oneness, feeling our connectedness, and transcending this dimension. When we get off the path of our vision, life events can push us back on it, and the vision itself can pull us towards it. Love's not only a good feeling, it's an evolutionary force that can cause us to feel connected to others and to bring us back to being on course towards our vision. And finally, we can consciously choose practices to feel more love in our lives. We can be love. I end today with one more quote from Teilhard de Chardin, where he wrote, "Someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we'll harness for God the energies of love. And then for the second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire." Let's pray. Oh, as I touch into the Spirit of God, I just know there's only one power, one life, one divine essence. It moves in and through me, and it moves through every person listening to this message. We're live or on the recording of the video. I simply know that every person who's listening to these words is a part of that oneness, as is everyone everywhere. As we tap into that oneness, we know that every one of us is on that evolutionary path to the greatest and the highest calling for our individual lives and to serve as a conduit for the growth of the collective. That we are all uniquely in our own way evolving back into that awareness of the remembrance of our truth, that we were born for the oneness of spirit, and we are returning to that oneness. And I know that every person here sets that intention this day to move closer into that awareness by setting an intention to every day live more peacefully, more harmoniously, and to bring love more fully into their lives. I give thanks for everyone here today and for listening to this message and for the growing and evolving nature of every one of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And so it is. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. There's a similar video right here next to my face if you want to click on it. Also, if you want to get notifications of future videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button on the bottom left-hand corner. If you'd like to contact me, email me at the address on the screen or drop me a comment in the comment field below on YouTube. Thanks.